Welcome to Greek for a Week. So glad that you have decided to join us this week. And you'll look here at the top of the slide. We have begun a new paragraph, verses 12 through 18 of chapter 2, humility lived out before others. This week I'm looking at two verses, 12 and 13. Of chapter 2 of the letter to the Philippians that Paul wrote. And here is verse 12, and here is verse 13. So let's translate, then we'll look at a few pieces of grammar and syntax to help us out with some interpretation. So then, my beloved, just as you have obeyed always, not as in my presence only, but now much more in my absence. Continue working out your salvation with fear and trembling. For God is the one who works in you, both to will and to work for or on behalf of his pleasure. The first word is a conjunction here, hoste. And hoste, again, I think it provides here the intended results from verses 5 through 11. In other words, we're switching, if you will, to the practical application of the theological argument regarding Christ's humility that Paul presented. It's almost as if Christ's humility was an example that now must be lived out. And that's why I translated it so then, or based upon what was just stated, my beloved, do this, and that is to continue working out your salvation. Your hupe ku sate, that is a second person plural, aorist active indicative of hupakuo. All right, hupakuo. And I translated that have obeyed. And Varner, in his Baylor Handbook on Philippians, he states here that the aorist provides the background for the following present imperative. So here is the background, just as you have obeyed, and that would be the background then for that present imperative, which is to continue working out your salvation. Notice that you have an Allah here. This Allah is a contrasting conjunction where it switches from the past to the present. That is, just as you obeyed, Paul says, in my presence there, now much more when I'm not there, which is in my absence here. He says, continue working out your salvation. So the kata gerzeste, that is a second person plural present middle imperative. Okay, it's a present middle imperative of the kater gezamai. Again, continue working out, present imperative. And then how are the Philippians to continue working out their salvation? And here's the prepositional phrase, with fear and trembling. That would be probably the manner. It answers the question how, the manner in which they are to do that. Varner also states here that the Septuagint occurrences suggest reverence and awe. So with fear and trembling, or here with reverence and awe. The phrase is equivalent to having a disposition of obedience toward God in light of our weaknesses. So then in verse 13, Paul continues here with the reason the Philippians can obey the previous command, and that would be seen here in the conjunction gar. So the reason that they can do the command, continue working out, is because God, and here's our subject here, God is then what? The one who works, which is a present active participle, masculine nominative singular, substantival participle, the one who works in you. And then you have two articular infinitives, the thelain, kai, ta, ener, gain. So those two articular infinitives are substantival infinitives and direct objects then of your substantival participle here. So trust, again, this has been helpful. This is verses 12 and 13. We're going to continue working through the rest of this paragraph, which is 12 through 18. And we will, of course, when we get to the end, we'll diagram again and we'll see how things work out. Have a great week. We'll see you next week.